Hello, Colonel Hansen.
Hey Hannah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, I hear you now as well. How are you today?
Perfect. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good. Welcome to the Broadcast Center here at Fanshawe College. It's a real treat to be able to speak with you today, so thank you so much for taking the time.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Well, since we are here in London, and I know this is your neck of the woods as well, what do you remember about growing up in this area?
Well, lots of great memories. It's my home. I grew up on a farm, in between Elster Craig, Exeter, and Lucan for my elementary school years, and then moved to Ingersoll in my high school years. And so I just have great memories of working on the farm, being outside, playing with my friends and my cousins in the barn. My high school years, I spent a lot of time in a great youth program called Air Cadets, based out of London. So I was in London a couple times a week at 614 Squadron, Air Cadet Squadron, just learning all sorts of great skills that when I look back, I'm like, wow, I was so lucky to have had that foundational training that they gave me, and just some really great mentors in that program. I'm very grateful for that.
Did you always dream of being an astronaut back then?
You know, interestingly enough, I kind of got hooked on this idea of flying in space at a very early age. I was in early elementary school. I saw photos of astronauts walking on the moon. Of course, it happened before I was born, but it still captured my imagination. And I turned my treehouse into a spaceship. I had dials and controls, and I was going on space missions all the time. And of course, I was young and naive. I had no idea how it would really work, but I did know that, as I was growing up, I did see Canadians fly in space, and I realized it was possible. I didn't know if I would ever get to do it, but here I am on the cusp of achieving that goal. I feel like a very fortunate Canadian, but I just love working in the space team today. Work with a lot of great people, both the Canadian Space Agency and, of course, with our international partners as well.
I know you take the time to speak in lots of different places to lots of different people, and tomorrow you're going to be the guest speaker at the Canadian Club of London. Is there a different feeling that comes when you get to speak to a hometown crowd?
I think so. There's a little bit of a different connection when you're from the same area, but I kind of get that on many levels. Today, you and I are chatting from Houston, Texas. I've lived here in Houston for 11 years now, and so anytime I speak with Canadians, I feel that anyway personally, that I'm kind of connecting with my kin and my family back home, even people I don't know. It's just really fun, warms my heart to be back in Canada, or at least speaking with Canadians. But definitely the London area is a place that resonates with me, of course, growing up there.
Now, as you mentioned, you're sort of on the cusp of achieving your biggest goal of going into space. As you await your mission assignment, how do you sort of stay prepared in that interim period?
Yeah, it's interesting. For an astronaut, when you're first recruited, you go through this basic training, and that is all you do is train, train, train. And it's like 2.5 years of just concentrated training. And it's sort of pass or fail. I mean, you have to prove that you have what it takes to execute the operations that they need you to do. And then after that, you go into this phase where you're maintaining that training. You still learn new things as they come up. As we develop new vehicles and new techniques, you continue to learn. But as you get more and more experience, you need less and less time to maintain those skills, and you can divert more of your time to helping the program. And so I do a bit of both. Yesterday I was doing some flight training. Last week I was in what we call the neutral buoyancy laboratory. This is a huge pool we have here, and we do simulated spacewalks. Of course, it's great for my training, keeping those skills up, but they're also needed because we're actually trying to figure out how we're practicing how we're going to do the real spacewalk when it comes up in the future. And so we do things like that. But a lot of my time is spent on just helping the program, working with teams to solve problems that we're having aboard the space station or future vehicles, or working with our teams in Canada. We're building the next generation of robotics that we're going to put on this lunar gateway out by the moon. It's a big leap forward. We have a lot of demands. People probably think it's simple. We'll just build a second Canadarm2 and send it off to the moon. It's nothing like that. It's a complete redesign. If we're going to work that far away from Earth with all that that comm latency, like the delay between our commands getting there and getting back, and with no humans on board that space station most of the time, this really changes what the arm has to be capable of doing. So, I mean, I love these challenges. This stuff gets me really fired up, and to see these teams come up with solutions is fun.
And I know you spent spending time as a Capcom as well. How does that help prepare you, likewise, for your own mission someday?
So yeah, so Capcom is the person in mission control who's actually speaking with the crew on orbit. I did a bunch of that role for a spacewalk activity we were doing to fix or repair the alpha magnetic spectrometer. And so it teaches you a lot, because you are right in the mix of operations. You're listening to the entire team of experts. I mean, it's just like the movies. You're in mission control. You have all these people that know every single detail about their system, and you hear them all in your ear. They're all speaking to the flight director, and then decisions are being made, and you're communicating them to the astronauts. And so you're right in the mix. So there's no better way to learn than to actually be doing it. So I still do a little bit of that from time to time. It's very interesting.
Now, I know that you're no stranger to experiencing life in isolated spaces, whether it be Nemo or the Caves expeditions. A lot of Fanshawe students and Canadians all over are sort of dealing with that self-isolation for the first time due to COVID-19. What sort of advice can you offer people that are going through that experience right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm an expert. I think we're all dealing with that. And when I have been isolated in the past, it's always challenging. I guess what I would share my perspective, speaking with my kids about this recently, and we were just chatting about it, but my perspective is that don't underestimate how difficult it can be. Sometimes it may be really easy for you, and other times it may not be easy. And I think it's really important that people understand that that's normal and that's okay. And we don't get through life as individuals. Astronauts don't go to space as individuals. They lean on a team, and sometimes they're carrying the teams, and sometimes they're being carried. And that's the truth about everybody on this planet. Is sometimes you got it, and sometimes you need a little help. So people should be asking for help. And the other thing is, just really staying in a place of gratitude. You can always imagine how something could be better. I mean, even the greatest things, you can often pick apart what's wrong with it and how it could be better. And certainly in a situation like COVID, I think we can all imagine ways that it would be better if we just could see our friends more easily or more often or more intimately. And but staying in a place of gratitude to try and ground that, I think is really important. I find that's important for me.
And lastly here, Colonel, what's your biggest hope for the future of Canadian space travel? Are there some projects in the works right now that have you really excited?
Oh yeah, there's lots. We have a lot going on in the space program. Of course, most people probably understand that Canada plays in an international partnership. This is very, very important. So we can all focus on key areas of expertise. I already mentioned one today, space robotics. This is an area we have a lot of expertise in. We have some other really neat things going on. In fact, a couple of years ago, we really focused on some benefits that we could see where space exploration was merging with needs and demands on the planet. One of those areas is healthcare. And so, if as we send more and more people into space, and as we get commercial space and we send humans further into space, we need more autonomy in our healthcare systems for astronauts. And we have those same challenges here on the planet in isolated parts of Canada, but also for, even during COVID, for example, it's just harder for people to get around or maybe access services. And so this is an area we had already started working on, and now there's a more urgent demand than ever, is for us to work together to bring what we have from the space side with partners on the terrestrial side to bring, work on these health solutions and really bring them into use, operational use. So there's just so much potential there. We don't have all the answers. It's never like that. It's, these are big problems that we just need to keep chipping away at and doing our very best. I find that very motivating. Another one is food security. We are eventually going to be growing food. We're already growing food on the space station more as a test. Eventually, we're going to have to grow food in space on the moon or Mars to sustain people that are there. And so this can be part of our food security solution set for isolated parts of Canada and places where it's really hard to grow food, or maybe right now impossible to grow food. And we're already doing that. We have this really cool project. If anyone's interested, look it up. It's in Joe Haven. And it's just fascinating. I think it's a really great success story. It's just a start, but it's something that we can grow. And then also right now, I think another one that we've been working on that we're pretty excited about is, Canada has for a long time used satellite infrastructure to support Canadians because we have such a vast country. And when you build a space solution, you build it for really for the world. Typically, a lot of space solutions can be implemented and exported around the world. And we have some niche technologies with respect to looking back at our planet and delivering services to the planet. And so we're really looking at those right now as we build Canada back. This is kind of like future infrastructure, and really important for jobs of the future from my perspective. And so we're putting a lot of effort into that right now to make sure that we are creating those new jobs today, because we know that that's a place where a lot of Canadians are hurting.
Colonel, thank you again so much for taking the time today. It really is a great honor to meet with you, and I just wish you all the best, you and your family.
Oh, thanks so much, Hannah. It's great to chat with you. And I look forward to speaking with some fellow Londoners tomorrow with the Canadian.
Yes, all the best to you. Thanks again, Colonel.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.